Ugh. Cuphead. Cuphead is a run and gun video game developed and published by Studio MDHR. The game follows the journey of our protagonists, Cuphead and Mugman, after making a more than far-reaching debt to the devil. For background, Cuphead and Mugman are two brothers under the supervision of the Elder Kettle, who warns the boys not to go over the train tracks into the casino, for evil lurks beyond their home. Cuphead disregarded this information and decided to drag his brother along one day. They were gonna roll the dice. After Cuphead reached a pinnacle at the craps table, one of the two antagonists, King Dice, is impressed, but he knows these cups aren't the first ones to find themselves on such a streak. It's only a matter of time before our main antagonist finds himself at the other end of the table. "Nice run, boys," laughed a newcomer. The boys gasped. It was the casino's owner, the devil himself. "Now how about we raise the stakes? Win one more roll and all the loot in my casino is yours. But if you lose, I'll have your souls. Deal?" Our friend Cuphead, blinded by his hot streak and the enticing offer, fails to weigh the pros and cons. He grabs the dice and shoots for the stars, but lands himself in debt. But not just him, his brother too. The brothers pleaded for their lives. There must be another way to repay you. Yes, please, mister. The devil thought for a second, then came up with a solution. "I have a list of my runaway debtors. Collect their souls for me, and I might just pardon you two mugs." The boys rushed home to meet with their guardian, Elder Kettle. He knew the boys went against his wishes and wandered into the casino, but he knew that this was no time to be angry, but a time to be helpful. So Elder Kettle introduced us to our first weapon. Chapter 1. Tutorial. Controls are basic. We have the joystick for moving and crouching, X for jump, square to shoot, circle to special, triangle to dash, L1 to switch weapons, and R1 to stand still and shoot from an angle as long as you're on the floor. If this sounds intimidating, don't let it be, because you're going to have your thumb on one button permanently, another one is easily accessible with the same thumb without requiring it to move, one you will likely never end up using, and the other two you'll just have to practice with a little bit. Anyways, after completing the tutorial, we collect a coin and head out to the real world. Chapter 1.5-ish. Inkwell Isle 1. Perfecting the basics. So before we go any further, I would just like to thank the sponsor of this. Psych, I don't have a sponsor. But I do want to mention a few things. A. The goal is to 100% complete Cuphead. That means I cannot get hit or I have to restart the level. B. I've been playing Cuphead for a little bit now, so the suffering isn't as bad as the day one rookies would be. And C. I've also completed these boss fights with perfect scores on a numerous amount of accounts. I completed World 1 and 2 on my Switch, and I had to restart the run 3 times, all due to recording issues. I'm perfectly sane, I promise. Starting off, we have to go and talk to Mr. Appleman Guy. Why? Because he's going to give us money. We're going to use that money to purchase the most important item in the game, the shotgun. This weapon will allow us to breeze through most of the first aisle and ensure our timely success as we look to complete each level in under the amount of time required to reach a perfect score. I feel as though I should also take some time to explain a perfect score. That means that A. I finish the level in a certain amount of time. B. I don't get hit. C. I parry at least 3 projectiles. D. I use 6 super meter cards. E. The other 2 stars don't really matter. If you do well, it'll give you 2 of them. First up, Blue Ball Dude. I don't know why, but this boss fight has to be the best opening boss fight ever. The character is funny looking, he has 3 stages, which most bosses do. He allows the players to get creative when countering due to his basic attacks, and the fight contains all the basics you need to learn to survive Inkwell Isle 1. In his first stage, Mr. Blue Ball Thingy jumps back, forth, and off the walls at 2 different distances. 1 short hop, then 1 large hop. Boom. 1. Reoccurring patterns and anticipation, the most important idea to grasp in this game. 2. Creativity. Do you keep your distance and dash away with your blue shot? Or do you read the jumps where he's going to be, stay right on his back using the shotgun? Or do you move a minimum amount and use your shotgun blast when he's too close, then when he's far, use your blue shot? Different ways to reach the same goal. And when he turns into a spring and launches at you at your face, do you play it safe and duck while shooting? Or do you duck under, switch to your shotgun, and use your special ability to get some extra damage? His second stage isn't much different. Same pattern, but now he has a larger hitbox, and he throws out a right hook rather than his whole face. But as he switches from first to second stage, he swallows what seems to be a pill, don't do drugs, and becomes confused for a second as 3 pink question marks float above his head. This is excellent training for the next skill of parrying. 3. Parrying. Parrying is such a crucial factor in this game, judging that it gives you a split second to think once you slap it, and it grants you an additional special meter card. So it gives you time and some extra firepower. so learning how to parry effectively gives you quite the advantage over your adversary. In this case, it doesn't do much for the outcome of the battle, but it teaches the player how to parry at different angles and the timing of when a parry ends and when you can perform another one. After dodging some punches and proper spacing, you find yourself in the third and final stage. Our friendly blue ball thingy-mabob has died, and is now a coffin dashing from one side of the screen to the other at a rapid pace, making it difficult to keep pace with a shotgun and forcing you to jump over and over again with the blue shot, meaning that if you want the time management challenge, you're going to have to get creative. The best way I made use of my time was waiting for the tombstone to rush me down and hit the shotgun special perfectly so that all the bullets make contact and deal a huge amount of damage. A strategy that can be used many other times throughout the game and teaches the player the importance about timing in this game. 4. Timing. Cuphead being a basic run-and-gun adventure, the outcome of a battle can often come down to a few pixels in distance. The beginning stages of the game, it doesn't seem that difficult nor that important, due to the risk of losing scaling so low. But understanding what to do and when to do it is a key to unlocking the kingdom of an 100% Cuphead run. Now, we move on to the name of the game, a run-and-gun stage. There are multiple of these stages scattered throughout the map, where you're not versing one big boss, but instead maneuvering through a high level of enemies and facing other mini-bosses along the way. In order to get a perfect score on these, it's mostly the same as before, being that you need a good time, 3 parries, and can't get hit. But instead of using your super meter 6 times, you need to collect all 5 coins placed throughout the stage. The same coin we got from Elder Kettle and the Apple Broski. Why did we not do the running gun first? I don't know, it's up to the player with what they do first. I just have the habit of destroying the blue dude first, and I just think he's a good way to start the game. My goal is to complete the running gun so that we can buy the most important item in the game, the smoke bomb. But more on that later. Running guns are excellent forms of practice. They teach you 1. Basic evasion, 2. How to parry weird and moving objects, 3. Understanding what certain enemies do, 4. How to utilize your different weapons, and 5. How to remain calm. There are so many enemies that are constantly appearing and disappearing off screen. That would be almost impossible to kill all of them without taking a hit. So you're going to have to settle for running, jumping, and dashing all through them at the right time. There are also enemies who cannot take damage, so you'll have to learn how to get around those guys safely. While the flower enemies are mostly random on how many there are and where they spawn, they all follow the pattern of walking on the ground till they meet a ledge to which they jump up or down. Blue guys are annoying to hit, but take very little damage to kill. They just move left and right, cannot switch platforms. But if you shoot them, and you let them sit for too long, they morph back to their old selves and continue moving left and right. The mushrooms are pretty cool. They shoot clouds at you that seem to have about a 50% chance of being a pink projectile, meaning that you can parry it, and with enough game sense, you can guarantee which one will have a pink projectile, depending on what color the last mushroom's cloud was. The purple plant locks onto our initial position, firing a seed at you that leaves behind a faint trail of fire for about a second. But its attack animation is so long and the arch on its attack is so high that by the time the seed lands on the ground, you're likely already on the other side of the map. Then they're, flying acorns. Very simple attacks, very simple to counter. The second they hover over you, they fall on top of you. Basic maneuver to counter. Walk like 3 feet forward and you'll be fine. And if you can't move forward, take out your shotgun, point it upwards, because by the time it is halfway down to hitting your face, the shotgun will have already taken care of it. Then, the mini-boss is the acorn machine. Just hit with a few blue shot specials and it'll get the job done. Then we go to Walmart piranha plants from the Super Mario Bros. Series. They jump from the depths of the earth and chomp your ass if you're not paying attention. But if you simply cross right after they descend back down in the hole, you'll be fine. The only complications at this point would be that the little blue guy's walking around, but this is solvable with the shotgun, and there are 2 piranha plants in the last jump where you need to sort of maneuver between the 2 plants to grab the final coin. But it doesn't take too much practice, and if you time it right, you should be able to snag that perfect score. Now, with 2 minutes of playing time and about 2 hours worth of writing later, we finally move on to the next boss fight. VeggieTales gone wrong. But first, we need to purchase the smoke bomb. The smoke bomb basically grants you invincibility whilst you dash, meaning that if you're in a tight pickle, you can hit the dash button and you're out. Only side effects is that you can't 100% see where you are going, but once you use it enough, it becomes engraved in your brain of how far you will go for every smoke bomb you hit. And that's the point where you really start to feel yourself become one with the Cuphead. So here we are, Botanic Panic, and we got Mo, Larry, and Curly of video game bosses because this boss fight is a joke. Super easy, super fun to speedrun, and by far the least rewarding one, except for the one detail that you parry a falling object, but we will get to that later. First, let's talk about a potato. Mo the potato shoots out 3 balls of dirt at you, then a pink worm for you to parry. Not that challenging. If you really got the timing down, you can stand 2 inches away from his face, spraying with your shotgun the entire time whilst getting 2 free special cards and skipping his 3rd barrage, which is slightly faster than the previous 2. Mo's done, next comes Larry. You hit Larry, so Larry is sad, and he starts crying. Now, depending on how long it takes you to knock him out, you might get more than 1 parry opportunity, but the rate that I was moving made it so that I was only given 1 chance to prepare and position for a downwards parry. Most of the times, a parry opportunity will approach you from a horizontal trajectory, or it'll be at a standstill. But this is the introduction to vertical parrying, which is very likely the toughest out of the 3. Since you need to jump towards a projectile to meet the hitbox of the parry, the risk of timing it wrong and parrying too early or too late and taking the hit is sometimes too high, forcing you to back off from the opportunity. It's something that happens all too often during my runs, at least making it a question on whether I play it safe and look for another parry opportunity in order to cover all 3 parries to achieve the perfect score, or do I risk losing a heart and getting the parry now rather than not having the opportunity later, having to restart the game and trying to achieve more parries in the opening parts of the boss battle, losing more time. It's like a constant God, this game is just like I'm overcomplicating it. Like, dude, I have 21 pages. I have 21 pages, and it's like God, I have 21 pages, and it's like all on Inkwell Isle 1. And we're 13 minutes in. How am I supposed to put this into a video? Curly is super easy. The shotgun pointed up equals victory. Yes, there will be times where a stray carrot is out of range and his other attack forces you to move out of the way, but for the most part, you don't even have to move out of the way. Use the same strategy from the blue ball bro and jump up to the shotgun special his face multiple times and he'll go down soon enough. Also, cool little Easter egg, if you don't shoot Larry, then you get a hidden Uncle Shemp, a turnip who just forces you to jump over him from time to time while facing off against Curly. Would not recommend because Shemp doesn't give you a parry opportunity like Larry does, but still fun to try. Now, we got the Amphibian Brothers on a boat. The boss fight is great. A nice nudge upwards from the difficulty scale, and it's a nice introduction to 2 very important skills, anticipation and positioning. As you face off against the brothers Dumb and Dumber, Dumb will throw boxing gloves at you, Dumber will shoot literal fireflies at you. Which one goes first? It's a 50-50 shot. But a quicker rush down in the beginning doesn't hurt to try, but if you see Dumb start winding up, immediately dash backwards and position yourself for the gloves. But don't position yourself to dodge, rather position yourself to parry the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd glove. You'll only be able to parry 1 of the 3 first gloves, but if you choose to evade all 3, you'll likely miss an opportunity and have to restart in order to achieve the perfect score. The only 3 parries you'll get in this boss fight come from your first encounter with Dumb. So you need to make it so that you're in the air ready to parry the glove, but if the glove isn't pink, you'll be close enough to smoke bomb and evade the glove in time to see the color of the following glove and continue positioning yourself for that one. This is the thing that could go on before you enter these boss fights if you're seeking a timely and smooth success. And I say could because you certainly don't have to. I'm an overanalyzer, it's just the way I work. I've watched like every Five Nights at Freddy's Game Theory episode at least 15 times over, and every other video MadPat has ever posted, so I've become quite intrigued by little details and analytics over the years, except for minor details and dates about the Revolutionary War. Sorry, US history grade, but it looks like Cuphead hitboxes and invincibility frames me just a little bit more to me than why the British decided to blow a 13-0 colony lead. Anyways, getting back to the main idea about this boss fight, we have to position, now anticipation. You're anticipating that one of the 3 gloves are a parry, but you don't know which one. So you position yourself correctly in order to hit the parry. The pattern of the gloves is as follows. If glove 1 is a parry, glove 4 and glove 7 will also be a parry. If glove 2 is a parry, then glove 5 and glove 8 will be a parry. See where I'm going with this? Good. Once you anticipate the starting glove correctly, you'll then properly position yourself to achieve all 3 parries. Then Dumber's attack is, well, dumb. You can just kill the fireflies with your shotgun. It only takes a second. Now, Dumb is angry and is going to hit you like a cylinder of hay. But you are smart and jump over it. Now, Dumber turns into a windmill. And Dumb becomes a wizard and starts clapping balls at you. Did I really write that? Anticipation. A. Wind is going to be blowing you back at a constant rate. B. Dumb is either going to angle the ball downwards or upwards. In terms of positioning, you can do a few things. 1. Stay in the middle and narrowly evade each attack. 2. You can move wherever you want and smoke bomb when things get messy. 3. You can use a blue shot ultimate to move out of the way of the balls. Just be careful because once you use a special, you're not affected by Dummer's wind for that period of time, so just be a little careful with that. 4. You can stand right on top of Dummer and just mow him down while having to evade every other ball. The one I used was 4. It was the quickest option I came to find, and I only had to worry about the ball on an upwards angle, meaning it was every other windup from Dumb, giving me more than enough time to react. After Speedy's second stage, Dumb goes for the hay bale tactic again, narrowly missing my leg and being consumed by his brother as they turn into a slot machine. What the is going on? It just makes sense. Trust me, it just does. In order for the main attack to start, the machine becomes invincible and starts to shoot coins at you. It's not at a random trajectory. It locks onto your position prior to the coin being shot, and you have to parry the slot lever in order to begin the attack. It's guaranteed that 3 coins will be shot, meaning that you do not want the last one to line up where the parry is on the lever. So if the first coin locks on high, you stay low for a second, it shoots low. You go high, hit the lever, and the final coin will shoot after you have hit the lever, and you are now in a safe area to position yourself for the next attack. In this next attack, we are given 3 different possible outcomes for the slot machine: bull, snake, or tiger. You may face all 3, you may get only one 3 times over. You don't know. Easiest one in my opinion is the bull, but I have heard that is not a popular opinion from my one friend that I have ever talked to about one minor detail, who has also played the game. With the bull, the flame is sticking out the top, it's going to shoot the flames from the top. If it's facing downwards, it's going to shoot the flames from the bottom. Simple enough. Snakes are just a bunch of moving parts, nothing too crazy, and the tiger is the most annoying, being that there's a ball jumping up and down out of the sliding things. Truly nothing crazy about the attacks. There's just some points where they may get overwhelming or cause me to focus on the wrong area or pattern at that given moment. I usually put my back to the wall before any of these stages start, because you can just shoot and jump and special the whole time on the bull, and you're going to want to move back and forth a little bit on the snake. And for tiger, you're going to want to move up, take center of the stage, and jump below the balls. God, I say balls a lot in this. Stick to the pattern, and soon you will finish off Dumb and Dumber. Chapter 1.5b. God, why did I just call it Chapter 2? Super ability, that's why. After showing the amphibians who the better brothers are, we walk over to the bridge and find ourselves a coliseum. As we enter, we find ourselves a minigame. The objective is to protect the China pot from incoming ghost. Only catch is that the ghost cannot take damage from your weapons. Rather, they are all colored pink, meaning that you must parry them before they reach the China pot. 1. Parrying practice. 2. Timing. Do you suck at parrying? Just play this level on repeat and you'll be fine. I promise. In this first Coliseum, there are 2 different ghosts. A regular ghost, which will approach at a slower rate, and they only approach straight on their angle, meaning that they're not moving up and down, making them the easiest ghost to deal with throughout the entirety of the game. And there are Grandpa Ghosts, which go a little bit faster than regular ghosts, while also bouncing up and down a little bit, making them slightly harder to hit, but not too much more challenging. This is excellent practice with stringing together multiple parry combos and understanding the angle of your jump and dash when dealing with parrying. If you're struggling to get down the basics of parrying, play the Coliseum on repeat, and you'll start to understand timing and hitboxes in no time. After completing the challenge, we will learn that we have saved Miss Chalice from the ghost, and for our kindness, she grants us a special ability. We have obtained the ability to cut our time just a little bit shorter than before with our newfound ability. You may have noticed that when you reach all 5 cards, they start doing a spin animation. Earlier, it was a good reminder to use some of our super beater before the match ended, but now it was an indicator that our ultimate ability is ready. Once you collect all 5 cards, you can use the super meter to unleash a large and devastating blow against the enemy, during which time slows down a little bit and you become invincible. The hitbox is fully horizontal for this ultimate ability, and it can be performed in the air or on the ground. Now that we have our new special ability, we are going to put that excitement on hold and enter our first airplane stage. Make our way back to the original island and walk up the stairs we discovered after being the blue ball adversary bro. And we meet our friends, Monsieur, there's a spy in the base. Monsieur, I've been playing too much TF2. And he shows us the ropes about flying an airplane. We still use the joysticks to move, we don't need to jump, so the parrying button remains X. Circle is still the super, but we can't dash, so the triangle becomes something else. When we use triangle, the plane actually shrinks into a smaller model, and the range on our weapons suffers significantly in terms of range. It's a speedy getaway, but ineffective at long ranges, so when going for time, you're going to have to use it wisely. Our specials have also changed. Single card slots send out a chomping bullet depending on how large the hitbox is horizontally. It can hit opponents multiple times, and our special ability allows us for a short period of time to turn into a nuke and deal high levels of damage to the enemy. But if you are hit by a projectile, you will automatically explode and might deal less damage than if you were to hit an opponent head on. Not so high risk, very high reward. And also a get out of jail free card if you're overwhelmed. Now you might be thinking, well, why didn't you just do the stage after you beat the blue ball guy singing man? Well, the thing is, this first plane stage is very hard to complete in my opinion. And at the beginning of the game, it is the first boss fight that I have ever played. More on that later. But I believe if you go into this plane level without any practice of the other levels first, you are going to struggle a lot and likely be putting the game down in frustration rather than if you go through the other stages and practice what I've been talking to you about for a little bit now. It's 25 minutes in recording wise. It's probably going to be about 20 in the video. We're on the fourth boss fight. Does that go for everyone? Absolutely not. You may be a born prodigy and be able to complete the plane stage first try, but as far as my experience has gone, you're gonna want a little more practice before jumping into this next boss fight. Ah yes, time to verse my favorite emo funk band, Led Zeppelin. Why did I put them as an emo funk band? For reference, I wrote this script like a year ago. What was I on? Being our first plane fight is bound to get a little messy, and the patterns are simple, but there are constant numerous attacks taking place, so focus is key here. As the fight starts, Hilda starts laughing at you, and in order to not hurt your feelings or your HP, you need to dodge the haters, and send 27mm back in their direction. It's a very simple dodge. I personally hang in the back and just follow Hilda up and down, trying to time it perfectly so that she is constantly taking damage. In my experience, if you time it perfectly, you don't even have to worry about the laughing hitbox because it simply just won't hit you. While this is happening, we are introduced to these mini blimps which like shooting little pellets at us that lock onto our position prior to the shot, much like the coins from the Dumb and Dumber boss fight. They have very little health, so you can just shoot them down, except the repercussions that come with that may not be worth it. Yes, if you don't shoot at them, you now have another attack box to worry about, but these blimps are your best friends in disguise. Disguise? There's a spy in the base. Wait, hold on. Headphones.
There is a spy in the base.
I have TF2 brain rot, and I'm talking about Cuphead. And about 1 in every 3 of these blimps, there is a parry pellet. So for every 2 pellets you dodge, you get 1 special card in return. Not a bad trade-off considering some of the other crazy stuff you're going to have to do in the future. Now, yes, that is 2 other hitboxes to worry about, but at the moment, the only other attack you need to be concerned about is the laughing hitboxes, which again, if timed well, and RN Jesus is on your side, you don't need to worry about it in the slightest, so don't get too worked up about it. Now, once Hilda has decided she has had enough, she is going to blow up into a balloon and shoot at you like a dart. The windup is very easy to see, and she will not travel up and down during the attack, meaning that as long as you are all the way up or all the way down, you have nothing to worry about. Just don't get careless and take up center stage again, because she is going to come back through the middle and transform into a bull. Now, dealing with this bull is very easy. Yes, you still have the blimps coming after you, but we've covered what to do with those guys earlier. If you really don't want to deal with them, move slightly forward or backwards and you'll be fine. In terms of the bull, she'll shuffle up and down constantly, and after passing you twice, she'll lock on and attack you for the 3rd time you cross paths. Once again, the windup takes forever, meaning you have plenty of time to react, and since the attack is completely horizontal, if you time it correctly, you can deploy your missile special and hit the bull multiple times in this attack. Do this a couple of times and Hilda will return back to her normal form and continue to laugh at you. Now, after laughing, she's going to switch things up and summon a tornado to throw at you. The tornado is a large moving hitbox that travels forward, but follows you until it passes you, meaning you go down, it goes down. You go up, it goes up. But it's very simple to counter. You may make it narrowly dodging as your regular self, but due to our ability to turn into a smaller and much more agile jet, we are given the opportunity to start at a low angle and move ourselves back up on a diagonal angle to quickly evade the tornado, free of stress and damage. Better description would be let it lock onto your position, and when it's about a whole plane in front of you, turn into a small one, and move on an angle in any direction to easily evade it. Now, on to the second stage. There are 2 possibilities for this next stage. You either get a perfect score, or you have to pray that you do. One possibility, and the easiest one, is Hilda turns into an archer and shoots a straight arrow at you as three heat-seeking stars rush out the end and track you down for a certain period of time. These stars can be broken with enough damage, but you're much better off dodging them while continuing to deal damage to the boss. With how fast the stars are, if you switch in and out of the small and big plane, you can manage to keep circling clockwise until the locking on has worn off. You may have to repeat 2 or 3 times before Hilda turns back to normal, but once she does turn back to normal, she'll go through the same phase as before, only this time there are like 20 blimps coming at you, so it gets hard to ignore them at this point. Just keep moving and looking for parry opportunities. Another big skill to have for this fight is to know when and how many times you should special attack the boss. The rule for this one, if you got more than 3 cards in the first few stages, you're doing it wrong. Constant special use is crucial to beat this boss in a quick time, but not only should it be consistent, but it should be effective too. If you throw out a special and it misses completely, you wasted a card rather than using it. Card wasting is a terrible habit to pick up, so the objective is to think about where you should place the special attack and let it rip at the right moment to get maximum damage and time management. I recommend starting to save up your cards around the ending of the second morph stage into Hilda's final normal stage, because if you want to make it out of her final stage alive, you're going to want to nuke her at the very beginning and keep your distance. Now, to talk about her final stage, Hilda decides to turn into a mechanical moon. What the fuck? And throw stars and UFOs at you. The patterns are simple, but with Hilda taking up half the screen and her attacks basically covering the other half, it seems like a lot is going on, which it is. But if you break it down, it no longer seems so scary anymore. First, we need to talk about Hilda's hitbox. Being as massive as it is, really, no matter where you are on the map, you'll likely be hitting her with every bullet you have, so accuracy is not a skill that you need to take into this final stage. And in other terms of attack, nor is timing. Let me explain. I said that you should save up all 5 cards in order to start the final stage with a safe nuke hit, which is still what you should do. But afterwards, do not fish for another nuke. It will take too long, and you'll have to parry chase, which is likely not something you want to be doing at this stage, considering how far you've come in battle. And ideally in this battle, single card specials are the most powerful attacks you can give over and over again. Look at the hitbox on Hilda. When she starts her attack, her whole hitbox jumps out a horizontal angle, and again, takes up half the screen. So wherever you are, if you collect single cards from either damage or you parry passing by shooting stars that give you an easy opportunity to parry them, let the missile fly, because you can get so much damage in such a short amount of time, making the goal of saving up for another nuke a waste of time in my opinion. Now, could a double nuke work with the amount of time you're given? I don't know. I haven't tried it. But I could for sure say that my plan has worked for me a numerous amount of times, and it seems the least risky way to deal with this boss. Now, we need to talk about the UFOs. They are so annoying! But if you pay attention and turn into a small plane very often, you will be fine. The UFOs start to launch their lasers when you cross right under them. Brown UFOs will launch their lasers when they reach a certain distance from you, making it slightly harder to anticipate when they are going to go off and whether you should advance forward towards Hilda or step away. The best way to deal with the UFOs positioning wise, personally, I sit back and wait for the color of the UFO. If it is red, I hang on the side of the stage and wait for the UFO to cross about halfway to the screen. Then I rush forward as a small plane, allowing me to remain in front of the laser and not have my bullets blocked for a short period of time, and I can stop worrying about the lasers after that. If it is brown, I rush towards mid-stage as soon as possible to trigger the UFO and no longer have to deal with it covering the stage at an unforgiving time. The closer it activates towards Hilda, the more space I have to work with dodging the stars and preparing for the next UFO. Yes, you'll lose some time because your bullets will be blocked from the lasers, but if you're really that worried about time, use your single card special ability and it'll travel through just fine. If you remain calm and focus on the UFOs, it won't be long till Hilda will fall. With our 4 boss fights done, it's time for another running gun. And oh my gosh, did this for some reason give me a hard time. Like, I'm so happy that, I can spend 15 minutes trying to beat a boss fight that's supposed to be super hard. And then I'm writing for 78,000 minutes. Oh, dude, what are we on? We're on page 11. Page 11 out of 22. We're 40 minutes. Yeah, no, I'm breaking this up into parts. This is bullshit. Out of all the boss fights, I had done perfectly 5 times over after every attempt I've ever done of Cuphead in the past. For some damn reason, every time I do a run-through of this game, run and guns give me the hardest time. Why? I don't know. Clearly, I have the basics down. Clearly, I've played the stages hundreds of times, Clearly, I understand what's happening because I've written 10 pages about it at this point. So what gives? The answer to that question would likely be time. During one of my first runs on this game, my goal of the running guns was to get them down as quickly as possible in order to collect all 5 coins and simply move on with the game. So in other words, I didn't take them seriously. I knew the patterns, I knew what the characters did, but it wasn't a boss fight. It was never truly hard, but sure to come to terms that it was an actual level. A level that I need to treat with the same level of analogy and focus as a regular boss fight. I wanted it to be easy, but this second running gun proved to me otherwise. This was the first level in all of my 5 perfect run-throughs so far where I had a faint bit of frustration. It wasn't shock my controller levels of frustration, but I did feel a little nudge to drop my jaw from time to time and let out a frustrated sigh in defeat. I couldn't tell if it was the stupid look on the ladybug's face or the fact that the game gypped me on 2 separate occasions, but I decided to take a deep breath and say, I'm going to keep rushing it until I get it right, which is exactly what I did. So I'm going to explain this quickly. First, we got ladybugs. They do one of 2 things. Bounce off the ground or roll. If they bounce, they're annoying. If they roll, they aren't. But it doesn't really matter if you have a smoke bomb because you can just dash right past them. 2 of the first 4 ladybugs have the chance to be a parry opportunity, and there's a rare occasion where another ladybug will be a parry before passing through one of the woodpeckers. Newsflash, don't worry about any of them. The only ladybugs you're focusing on parrying are the 3 which are practically guaranteed. One that is required to get the first gold coin, the other 2 that are a part of a string of 8 bouncing ladybugs, and the 1 rolling one. That's it. And that's going to be your 3 pairs required to complete the perfect score, and after that, you can focus solely on dodging after that. Only challenge about parrying the ladybugs is the angle in which they descend is oftentimes awkward. I like to time my jump right before they reach the peak height and start to descend. At that point, I have the perfect amount of time to jump, and the cooldown of the parry after the jump will be fulfilled by the time you reach the parry hitbox for the ladybug. So boom. Not so awkward anymore, and if it still is, be creative and find another way to do it. I believe. Now let's talk about the woodpeckers. Not much of a problem. Wait for them to peck the wood for about 2 seconds. And the second their head leaves the tree, dash right on through the ladybugs that are likely passing on through at the exact time and continue onwards. Fun fact, there's also an opportunity to not have to wait for the woodpeckers to be done pecking. If you smoke bomb at just the right distance, you'll be able to clear the woodpecker free of damage in extra time. Although you can really only use this tactic once or twice throughout the stage due to the ladybugs likely waiting for you at the end of your smoke bomb, forcing you to take damage. And sometimes it can be risky with a smoke bomb if you don't 100% got down the visual of the distance you travel for every poof. So high risk, okay reward. Sometimes I do it if I'm feeling adventurous, but after about 22 minutes of taking damage due to my arrogance of me believing that I would get it at some point, I decided to wait an extra second and proceed through the bottom level untouched. Now we must ascend upwards. This phase isn't too hard as long as you pay attention to which log shot last, and you have your shotgun out to deal with the flies. First, the flies, easy to deal with. Shotgun, boom, done. Aim it at them or evade them. Their pattern is very simple. They descend on a diagonal angle, which is slow enough rate to which you can either shotgun them once they get too close, or you have time to evade or smoke bomb through them. Great. Now time for the tree stumps. These guys are layered up, and the layers are torn away depending on how much damage you deal to them, usually in stacks of 2 or 3. Any of the stumps will shoot first, but the shooting pattern will always trickle downwards, meaning that in the 3 stack, in the middle one shoots, then the bottom one will shoot, and then the top one will shoot. The top one shoots, then the middle one, then the bottom one will shoot. Simple enough to imagine. Great! They shoot blue spike balls at you that have a chance to be a parry opportunity, but it doesn't really matter. You already got your 3 pairs from the ladybugs, and now you don't need to do anymore. So just shoot the trunks and eliminate as many as possible, but don't let them slow you down. The projectiles travel slow enough that you can evade them and dash through them in coordination with the flies, meaning as long as you are focused on who shot last and where the ladybug is above you, it'll be a smooth climb to the top. Once you reach the top, you'll find these bugs holding up leaf platforms for you, but don't stay on them too long. If you do, a fireball will be launched at you, killing the bug and taking away your health point, causing you to be taken all the way back to the beginning and having to restart the entire level. This definitely didn't happen to me. Which I did 30 times too many despite knowing the consequences of my actions. This is also a moving platform level. The best way to deal with the platform in terms of time would be to wait an extra second and see where the platform stops and comes back from its original direction and create a mental marker to track how far the jump should be and if you need to add in an extra dash for the change in direction. The unfortunate thing about the speed of the platforms is that the speed is equivalent to our movement speed, meaning if you screw up the dash or the jump, unless your platform miraculously turns back to meet you, you're not making that jump, and you're going to be very mad that a miscalculation is what sent you back to square one. So in this case, take an extra second because the final boss is not that hard at all. So you can make up your time just throwing your special cards at him. Now let's talk about the mini-boss. It's a firefly that shoots literal fire. The same firefly who's been messing me up for like 22 minutes because there's some times where he dies and decides not to show me the rest of the stage and other times where he doesn't even bother. I mean, are you kidding me? I lost like 10 times in a row on the first stage after I threw this attempt in the garbage with this misfire. It was a devastating loss. But the final boss is so easy. He's going to lock on to a random bug and shoot his fireball. If you anticipate the angle properly, you should be able to retreat forwards or backwards in a safe manner. I'm going to label the leaves for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, if he targets 1, choose 2. If he targets 2, choose 1. Because if he targets 2, 3 is likely going to go down 2 due to the angle of the fireball. If he targets 3, set yourself up for 5. If you don't move, you'll likely end up just falling on 5 anyways, so no biggie there. If he targets 5, go to 4. And if he targets 4, go to 1. And follow the pattern throughout the entire 10 seconds of the boss fight because you were smart, waited for the boss to fully emerge into the fight. You hit him with your ultimate ability and shot him for like 5 seconds and the fight was over. Bada bing, bada boom, you wait for the rest of the map to show and you dash your way over the finish line. Thank God! Now that we have 7 coins, it's time to go shopping, bitches, for our next weapon. I think you can slowly hear how my sanity has just... God, I have 8 more fucking pages of this. We are now the proud owner of heat-seeking ammunition. Given the ability to go after anything with a hitbox anywhere on the map is fantastic. The only downside being that the damage falls massively, meaning that the time will likely be lost in the usage of the weapon type, meaning it will be used during boss stages in which evasion and positioning mean more than accuracy and damage. Now we're going to take our new toy and throw it away for a bit and not come back to it until the next world over. It's time to make our way over to Leslie the Flower. Now, as we can see, Leslie has hurt our dear friend, Mr. Nordic Axe. So, it is now our job to destroy him in cold blood, with the thought of revenge for our friends always remaining in the front of our minds. At first, Leslie seems nice with his pretty little smile and rosy cheeks, but he does in fact have a gambling addiction. Meaning we have to kill him or our souls take forfeit for our actions. Leslie has perhaps the simplest attacks in the entire game. Not only are the windups super underwhelming, but even the overlapping attacks don't seem to cause too much stress. The only reason this fight took so long for me to complete was because my attention was mostly taken up by a Russian Badger video that I literally watched 40 times already. So even making it as far as I did while doing that just proves that this fight is a walk in the park. He practically has only 2 forms, but he has 3 stages, and the order and attacks of the first 2 can differ from retry to retry. First, let's start with the stage setup. This stage has 3 floating platforms in the middle that are moving up and down ever so slightly, meaning that if you time properly, you can smoke bomb or dash from platform to platform. If the platform you are dashing to is even just a tad bit lower than the original platform that you dashed off of, you will fall, making the risk for reward up to how much you are paying attention to those little details while everything else is flying at you. In the early stages, this doesn't quite matter, but you'll see what I'm talking about when he reaches his final stage. And let's quickly talk about the elephant in the room, Leslie's hitbox. This hitbox is awful. I wrote that down, but let me rephrase that. This hitbox sucks testicles. Using the blue shot, due to the platform slightly moving up and down, your bullet spray is going to move up and down with pixels of a difference. If you stay on the top of the platform, you'll only hit Leslie about 50% of the time, meaning that you're losing time. Now you might be thinking, hey, what about those heat-seeker bullets we just purchased? Yeah, those would be great if they didn't take so fucking long to kill Leslie. Due to the damage decrease, the stages in which I used the heat-seeking rounds always felt sluggish, and I always wanted to switch back to my blue shot almost immediately. But again, the blue shot was missing half the time, so I wanted to switch back to my heat-seekers.
So a blue shot's only work half the time, and the heat-seeking rounds are too slow, and the hitbox isn't going to hit at a constant rate. Why don't you just use your shotgun at close range? Even if you're only hitting him with 3 out of every 5 pellets, that gives you the consistency you want. And if you're far away, what if you quickly jump over and over again at the perfect time with your blue shot equipped in order to hit about every 4 of 5 shots, still causing you to miss about... But 80% is certainly a lot better than 50, isn't it?
Hey, why didn't I come up with that stuff about 22 minutes of trying to force my way through the level with high damage, speed, and brute fucking force? So in terms of loadout, nothing is changing. You're keeping your blue shot in your shotgun. Trust me. With the blue shot, keep jumping up and down as much as possible to allow you to hit at a more consistent string of shots when shooting from afar. And in between attacks, run up to Leslie and show him what that fully automatic buckshot does. Now, time for attacks. Again, the least impressive out of everything we've seen so far. First attack I'm going to go over is Leslie's seed attack. After Leslie's done scooping up some air with his hands, he decides that'll be the perfect time to turn into a machine gun and fire off some of his children. Oh god. I'm gonna burp. The plus side is that his hitbox reshapes itself, allowing you to stop a consistent jumping with your blue shot and giving you a 100% chance to hit him from a distance if you're on the top side of the platform. He will fire 5 seeds that will very soon descend to the stage and plant themselves in the ground. And depending on what color they are, they will have different attack functions. A. Light blue seeds create flying mouth plants. B. Purple seeds create ground chomping plants. C. Pink seeds create orange shooting plants. As the pink seeds fall, you can parry them and not have to deal with the enemy in the future. Or you can purposefully let that seed plant and farm parries off of it for the rest of the round. The orange enemy shoots out parry pellets, I believe, until you kill it. I don't 100% know because each time I tried, I accidentally killed it. But I know I've done it in the past before multiple times. Maybe there was an update and they changed it. I don't know. So feel free to try it out. Both are not bad ideas, but I would recommend you pick a time wisely when you want to go for option 2. Because sometimes it doesn't hurt to have the airspace clear of threats depending on what other attack is going on at that exact moment. The other 2 enemies don't matter at all. Switch to a shotgun and wait a few seconds, then it's over. They don't have much health. One is flying towards you on purpose, and the other one is unable to move on the floor. So not much of a threat. Or even a thought there. Now his next attack is a surprise attack. I use the word surprise because you can't see what one of the 2 attacks it's going to be unless he takes his hands apart from each other and gives you 2 seconds to figure out how to deal with it. First attack is the boomerang slipper. I know it's not really a slipper, but that's what my mind thinks of every time Leslie decides to launch this attack at me. It's a very basic counter. If you're on the top platforms, jump over it and land on another platform. If you're on the bottom stage, wait for the slipper to clear up the top and jump onto a platform right after it flies off the stage. Congratulations, you learned how to counter one of the 2 attacks. The other one is only slightly more difficult, but if you follow along, I'm sure you'll understand what I'm saying. Leslie will reveal 3 sharp nuts. I can't do this. I am a fucking child. Leslie will reveal 3 sharp nuts, seeds, brown baby carrots. I really don't know what they are, but he'll shoot 3 of them and they'll lock onto your position prior to being launched. How you're going to counter this, position yourself on the platform furthest to the left and wait in that position until the second one fires off. If you go right after the first one, you'll officially jump the gun and earn yourself a restart to the level. If you wait just a second, the first one will still not have hit you, giving you enough time and space to jump up and smoke bomb above the other 2 projectiles, landing safely on the platform furthest to the right now, allowing you to switch to your shotgun for a short period of time and letting him have it. Now it's time for Leslie's pouncing attack. There's an okay chance that Leslie will pounce forward at you, taking up either the entire bottom or top of the screen, meaning camping out above or under the middle 3 platforms is crucial, but not difficult. Yet Leslie takes up half the screen. Yes, Leslie takes up half the screen, but it's for only about 3 seconds. Leslie will close his pedals over his face and either keep his body above the platform or crouch under the platforms and attack on a vertical angle, meaning that the only choice you need to make is to go up or down, and stay there till the attack is over. Can you hit Leslie during this attack? Yes, you absolutely can. When he attacks below you, the shotgun shot's angled downward will make contact with him. If you attack him with the blue shot for a short period of time, if you jump up while airborne, you tilt your joystick downward, you'll be able to angle your shots downward, allowing you to deal damage a little more. It's not a mandatory time cut by any means, so don't stress yourself out about it. And if he attacks the upper half of the screen, just point your gun upwards for that period of time, preferably the shotgun, but either one works. Once again, the amount of time that his attack lasts for, the difference is so minuscule it doesn't matter in the bigger picture. So for the first phase, he'll shift through the 3 of these attack patterns. Sometimes he'll do all 3, other times he'll only do 2. It all depends on the RNG that round. And once you made it to his second and final stage, this is where things start to feel a bit too simple. Leslie's hitbox finally decides to grow, making the blue shot a confirmed 100% hit rate from jumping and staying neutral with the levels of the platform. And Leslie roots himself into the entire bottom half of the stage, meaning your movement is now limited to only the platforms. There are 2 attacks that take place here. The first one has to do with the roots. Leslie will grow his roots and consume 1 or 2 platforms for a short period of time. The animation will first grab the bottom of the platform, and about half a second later, the roots will grow upwards, taking up the platform and negating the opportunity to simply jump over the vines. Depending on the speed of the pattern, only 1 platform may be occupied at a time. Both may be occupied at the same time. Both may be queued up to be consumed, but they are out of sync on which one is to come first and which is to come next. But don't let this stress you out. For the beginning seconds of the final stage, all you need to focus on are the vines. Whichever set of vines appear below the platform first will shoot up first, meaning positioning and anticipation are key. I like to hang out on the middle platform for as long as I can because it gives me the opportunity to escape to the left or the right depending on which platform is targeted second. If the left is targeted, go to the right and vice versa. Simple enough. But always retreat to the platform that was last targeted. Meaning that if the middle platform was targeted, then the right platform, I'm going to wait for the vines to clear up from the right platform and immediately make it my priority to get to the right platform safely. Why? Because the pattern will never go middle, right, right. Rather, it may go middle, right, left, or even middle, right, middle. the vines will never appear below the same platform twice in a row, meaning that paying attention to which platform was occupied last is a very useful skill to give yourself some time to think and allow yourself to focus on Leslie's other attacks. Now that we have a vertical attack, we know that a horizontal attack must come along with it. And you would be 100% correct. Leslie will open his mouth and spit out little fuzzballs at you. They move slightly up and down and have the chance of being a parry opportunity, which I would highly recommend you take. The projectiles aren't fast, and if you position yourself on the correct platform, it becomes a simple double jump you've been practicing for a numerous amount of fights and retries. This attack can become slightly overwhelming if you are trying to look for vines at the bottom of the platform. How do you counter this? Easy. Take my advice from before and use the first few seconds of the boss fight to position yourself on a platform that was last occupied by the vines. And now, instead of having to look down for the vines and the middle for the projectiles, you can now focus at the middle portion of the screen, looking for the top of the vines and making the mental note in your head of whether the left, middle, or right platform was occupied last, and then simply move yourself over to that position and wait for the parry opportunity. Also, this strategy will only work if you don't let one of the pink seedlings hatch from before. This is what I meant by wanting to have the airspace in most instances. If you continue this pattern and hit him with a ton of special cards, our con man of a flower will soon see the darkness. Congratulations! You have shown perfection in executing your enemies. And now you take a nice long look at your list with the rating of A+ next to each of your names. You can't help but crack a smile and a sigh of relief exit your body. You've made good time and good effort so far. You take a look back at all you've learned and you're impressed. In about a half hour, you've learned about... Let's rephrase that. And in about an hour, you've learned about reoccurring patterns in anticipation, creativity, parrying, timing, basic evasion, how to parry weird and moving objects, understanding what certain enemies do, how to utilize your different weapons, how to remain calm, and how to flawlessly destroy your enemies. I think you've earned the right to travel on over to the second aisle and continue your journey to defeating that no-good devil. A good golly, it's King Dice!
Or donkey.
So, funny thing, I am doing this thing where I'm not playing games in August so I can work on videos. So I don't know when part 2 of this is going to come out. I don't even know when part 1 of this shit's going to... Part 1's probably going to come out in fucking January. Let's be honest. Oh, I have so much editing to do. Alright, well, I enjoy this a lot. I'm happy that I finally got my script out there. If the audio settings suck, fuck you. I really don't care. Yeah. Go play Cuphead or something. Like, do you really suck that much that you need a beginner's guide? What a fucking